I want to move away from AI specifically for a little bit, but continue on technology, which continues to have such an impact in our daily lives. I think most of us can't be too far away from our phones, for better or for worse. We can do everything on there. And when it comes to technology, it is affecting the way in which we relate to each other. You know, sometimes I talk to my friends about the fact how, in a way, we're regressing. We're ever more connected than we have been before, but we communicate in a more distant way than perhaps we have in previous decades, where, you know, we've kind of gone back to the Egyptians with the hieroglyphics, with the emojis, you know, and this is the way we're communicating with each other. I know you've spent so much time thinking and writing about human relationships and the way in which you see the Homo sapiens interacting with each other. What would you say about the way that we are dealing with one another these days, and how it will evolve? Because physical contact seems to be harder and harder to get because more people are staying at home. They're not going to work as much. A lot of dating starts online. And I know that, for example, with your partner, you met your partner online, right? Yeah. So how do you see this development of personal relationships and connections, which we continue to need in order to be sane, I guess?
Yeah, so again, there is positive potential, there is negative potential. I talked a lot about, and I tend to talk a lot about the negative potential because, you know, the people who develop the technology, they talk a lot about all its good sides, all its promises. And there are, of course, a lot of positive potential benefits. As you mentioned, I met my husband online more than 20 years ago in one of the first gay dating sites that were available in Israel. And this was, and the technology was very important and beneficial because, you know, throughout history, you had minorities which were concentrated in one place. Like if you're Jewish, then you're usually born to a Jewish family in a Jewish community, so you know lots of other Jews. So even if you're a small minority, you have this kind of basic connection with other people like you. But with gay people, it's different. You're not born to a gay family in a gay community. And, you know, being raised, growing up in a small town in Israel, which was very homophobic society at the time, just meeting other people, just meeting guys for dating was very difficult. And then the internet came along, and this was a wonderful development because the internet managed to connect this kind of you know, diffused minorities that are not living together in the same place. Suddenly it became much more easy to find each other. So this was a great benefit of the technology. And we shouldn't ignore these benefits. But as you said, humans, deep down, we are social animals. And sociability, ultimately, is about the body. It's not just about the mind. And you have this discussion for, you know, for thousands of years about what humans really are. Are they an immaterial soul or an immaterial mind? Or are they embodied beings, embodied entities? And this was a major philosophical topic that you see, say, in ancient Christianity, this discussion, that Jesus and the first Christians, influenced by Jewish traditions, they believed very firmly that humans are bodies, which is why Christ rises in the body. He's resurrected in the body. And when Christ initially talks about the kingdom of heaven, he means the kingdom of heaven on earth. He tells his followers that there'll be this perfect kingdom here on earth, you know, with trees and stones and people. But over time, under the influence especially of Platonic philosophy, Christianity drifted away from this view of humans as embodied and placed greater and greater emphasis on the immaterial soul or mind. It imagined that the body is dirty, the body is animalistic, the body, there is something wrong with it. And when you die, you are not coming back in the body, your soul is liberated from the material body, and it goes not to a kingdom on earth, but to heaven, which is a completely immaterial realm. So the Christian fantasy became to completely disconnect from the body. And this remained a fantasy for thousands of years. Now, with the technology of the 21st century, a lot of very ancient philosophical and theological debates are becoming practical. So, going with your example, let's say you have some teenager or some person, whatever age, sitting at home, never leaving home, in front of a screen, maybe with some 3D glasses or something. They live their lives online. In a way, they are realizing the Platonic ideal of disconnecting the soul or mind from the body. So what do we see there? Is it human being trapped within a room, losing connection to the real world? Or is it a human being liberated from the restrictions of the biological body with all its messiness and dirt and whatever, and liberating their spirit to wander around the immaterial heavenly realm of cyberspace, where there are no bodies? Now, personally, if you ask me, I think the early Christians were right, that humans are embodied entities. If you try to disconnect the mind from the body or the soul from the body, it leads in a very dangerous direction, that you can't really do it, and it will be destructive psychologically and socially. But that's just my opinion. You have lots of people today, when you hear, for instance, people talk about the metaverse. The metaverse is exactly that. It's the idea of creating an immaterial realm, which is made entirely of data. There is no biology there. There is no physics as we know it there.